I am the true daughter of the illustrious Chu family, recently reclaimed after years apart. Upon my return, I find myself incessantly comparing my life to that of the false daughter. In a moment of desperation, I coerced my husband to suppress his younger brother and pressured my son to secure victory at a piano competition. It was then that I chanced upon a barrage of comments. The supporting character truly excels at orchestrating her own demise. While she has a devoted husband, affluent and attentive, and a compliant son, she remains fixated on competing with the female lead. Not to worry. Eventually her son will find himself imprisoned, and her husband will face bankruptcy and insurmountable debt. Only when she is confronted with the consequences of her actions will she come to her senses. I sincerely hope that day arrives swiftly. It is amusing how oblivious she is to the fact that her son has been led astray under her influence. His victory in the competition was solely due to locking the female lead son in the restroom, which undoubtedly culminated in his incarceration. It appears I am merely a contrasting figure to the false daughter in this narrative of the true and false heirs. 1. Upon witnessing this, a chill of dread washed over me. Before me stood my son, proudly presenting the trophy he had earned for securing first place in the piano competition. I've brought back the trophy. I am better than Xie Ziming. Can you be a little happier, Mama? The 8-year-old's face was adorned with an earnest desire for approval. To verify the truth of what I had seen in the comments, I gently inquired, "You locked Xie Ziming in the bathroom, causing him to miss the competition, didn't you?" Xie Yuzhao's little face turned ashen. "I didn't. Mama, it wasn't intentional. The mop fell and blocked the door. I was just trying to ignore it." His eyes reddened, words failing him, yet he still felt a sense of guilt. He scurried to the study and retrieved the ruler, obediently raising his palm. Witnessing this, I could no longer restrain myself and enveloped him in my embrace. I knew my child was inherently good. His actions were merely a reflection of my own influence. 2. Chu Mingwan and I are the true daughters who were mistakenly swapped at birth. This revelation came to light during the physical examination for the college entrance examination. Shortly thereafter, I was brought back to the Chu family. I had hoped to lead a life of comfort, yet little did I know, this was merely the beginning of my disillusionment. Chu Mingwan hailed from a typical working-class family. Lacking the resources and energy to nurture me beyond basic needs, I found myself constantly compared to her, always falling short. The disappointment of my parents and the disdain of the servants further unsettled my mental state. Consequently, I embarked on a reckless quest for comparison. When Chu Mingwan became engaged to the second son of the Xie family, Xie Jing, I manipulated my parents' guilt to insist on a union with the eldest son, Xie Chen. After marriage, Chu Mingwan bore twins, while I, disregarding my health, pursued a second child. When her husband joined the Xie family business, I pressured my own husband to suppress him at every turn. Her son, a prodigy in piano, was lauded as a young genius, while I compelled my son to forsake his studies and devote all his energy to mastering the piano. When Xie Jing gifted her jewelry, I clamored for even more extravagant pieces from Xie Chen. I failed to notice my son's despair and my husband's helplessness. My life seemed consumed by this relentless competition with Chu Mingwan until I stumbled upon the family's fate in the comments. 3. Suddenly, tears cascaded down. They fell upon Xie Yuzhao's hood, further unsettling him. "Mama, I was wrong. Please don't cry. You can hit me, and I will apologize to Xie Ziming. It was my fault." Yuzhao had once relished playing with his cousin, who was 6 months his senior. Yet I had always reprimanded him, accusing him of intentionally causing me distress, playing with the offspring of the rival who had taken his mother's life. I had shown no restraint in expressing my disdain for Chu Mingwan's family, which had influenced him to harbor animosity towards Xie Ziming. The comments read, "You can't entirely blame Xie Yuzhao. He didn't do anything wrong. If I saw someone I disliked trapped in a bathroom, I wouldn't want to intervene either. They say children around 7 or 8 can be quite bothersome. It seems Xie Yuzhao is entirely free of that phase. Haha, only a child cherished can afford to be willful. Look at how Chu Yuning dotes on him. He is merely a tool in her competitive games against the heroine." No, it is not as such. I gently caressed Xie Yuzhao's small face and reassured him. "Mama understands. This is not your fault. It has always been my mistake." After opposing Chu Mingwan for so long, it was still somewhat challenging to utter the words about taking the child to apologize. Yet it was indeed Yuzhao's error. I genuinely feared my child would suffer the same fate as those described in the comments. Before I could mentally prepare myself, Xie returned. 4. Upon noticing both Xie Yuzhao and I with reddened eyes, he furrowed his brows and asked, "What has happened this time?" My marriage to Xie was a result of my insistence. Over the years, he had shown remarkable tolerance towards me, fulfilling my every request. Yet, each time I sought his assistance, it was merely to counteract Chu Mingwan. Gradually, he grew increasingly indifferent towards me. Now we even slept in separate rooms. Having just learned that I might inadvertently lead him to financial ruin, I felt even less inclined to speak. Seeing my silence, Xie expression darkened momentarily. Yet he said nothing. He merely grasped his briefcase and ascended to the second floor. To be fair, Xie is quite a charming man. I am truly baffled. Can the villainess not see how Xie affections lie elsewhere, fixating instead on the heroine? Chu Yuning remains oblivious to Xie love for her. She believes she is compelling him to suppress his brother, while he secretly detests her. In truth, if Chu Yuning simply smiled, Xie would brave any peril for her, let alone trivial matters among children. I blinked, struggling to believe that Xie harbored any love for me. Although he had been compliant, it was often due to his inability to tolerate my whims. Especially after Yuzhao's birth, we had continued to sleep apart. However, upon reading the comments, I contemplated testing this theory later that evening. To mend our relationship and create a harmonious home was indeed essential. 5. For the first time, I spent an entire afternoon without surveilling Chu Mingwan's social media updates. Instead, I dedicated time to crafting with little Yuzhao. He inquired whether he should apologize to Xie Ziming. After some contemplation, I replied, "Tomorrow, Mama will personally take you to apologize." It was time to sever ties with Chu Mingwan. From now on, I yearned to focus solely on my own life, unwilling to repeat the mistakes highlighted in the comments. Upon hearing this, Yuzhao leaned his little head against my shoulder. "Mama, you were really nice today. You didn't hit me or force me to practice the piano." He sighed softly. "It feels like a dream." I recalled the past when, in my fervor for Yuzhao to surpass Xie Ziming, I would strike his hand for hitting a wrong note on the piano. Yuzhao would play on, tears silently streaming down his face, yet no matter how hard he tried, he was always compared unfavorably to Xie Ziming, much like myself. "If you don't enjoy it, Mama won't pressure you anymore." Yuzhao shook his head. "Thank you for allowing me to indulge in this pretense, Mama. Tomorrow, I will practice diligently and strive to make you proud." This scene appears quite heartwarming. I still don't believe the antagonist has truly changed. It feels like a ploy, a slap followed by a sweet treat. Sigh. When will the antagonist realize her son's talent lies not in piano, but in art? Upon witnessing this, a thought crossed my mind. Yuzhao, will you truly enjoy his art? Isn't it? His eyes flickered with momentary brightness before dimming again. Xie Ziming doesn't he study art? My heart ached. I had nearly transformed my son into a second version of myself. Without Xie Ziming, Yuzhao, your life henceforth need not be a competition with him. You can pursue whatever you truly love. Of course, except for illegal activities. 6. That evening, Xie dinner was delivered to his room by the servants. After coaxing little Yuzhao to sleep, I donned my long-neglected black lace nightgown and quietly entered Xie room. As he emerged from the bathroom, seated on the edge of the bed and drying his hair, I slipped from the covers and embraced his waist, whispering softly in his ear, "Hubby." He suddenly turned, grasping my wrist and pinning me down. "What are you up to now?" I playfully nudged against his waist, my intentions clear. His gaze darkened, yet when I wrapped my arms around his neck, he abruptly stood and turned his back to me. "I have work to attend to. You should go to sleep." What happened to promising to love me? Why was he dismissing me? Confused, I observed the comments flooding in. So obvious. It seems the male lead is about to explode. Capture the moment, it's quite sizable It's nothing. He has grown accustomed to it. Previously, Chu Yuning resorted to various temptations in her quest for a second child, despite the doctor's clear warnings that she was not fit to conceive again. Ignoring the advice, she persisted, leaving Xie with no choice but to sleep in a separate room, enduring the situation as best he could. Why are you speaking so quickly? Can't they just be together? What is there to discuss? There's no misunderstanding between them. The female supporting character has staged similar dramas in her pursuit of pregnancy before. This time is likely no different. I was foolishly under the impression that she had changed for the better this afternoon. So that was the case. My pride has always been strong. In the past, when Xie rejected me, I would merely slam the door in anger. But this time, I gritted my teeth and resolved to take the initiative once more. I leaned against Xie back, affectionately nuzzling him. Noticing his lack of response, I wrapped my arms around his waist, my hands slipping into his bathrobe, tracing down his firm abs. However, just as I was nearing my destination, he seized my wrist firmly. "Aiken, I miss you. I've been sterilized." The two statements echoed simultaneously, leaving both Xie and me momentarily stunned. Oh no, it seems as though they are on the brink of a rupture. With Xie sterilized, Chu Yuning can no longer surpass the female lead in terms of childbirth. I've heard that the female lead is even planning for a third child. Wait, I just started shipping them. Is this right? You've exhausted all your good fortune giving birth. Soon, the male supporting character will meet a tragic end, and the female supporting character will reflect on their past, suddenly realizing who truly loves her. Isn't this also a form of pursuing one's husband towards a fiery end? In the past, I might have genuinely felt anger. However, I have since let go of my competitive spirit with Chu Mingwan. Besides, childbirth is an arduous ordeal. I have no desire to engage in that rivalry. With this thought in mind, I gently caressed Xie top back and said, "Perfectly fine. I don't wish to have another child either. One child, Yu Zhao, is sufficient for us. But for matters of such significance in the future, you must consult me." Xie raised an eyebrow, his gaze at me tinged with disbelief, yet he acquiesced with a simple "all right." I met his gaze with calm assurance. The atmosphere suddenly turned intimate. They say beauty is best appreciated under dim light. Upon closer inspection, Xie's face is truly captivating. I silently lament how I had previously lived like an NPC, never having paid attention to such details. My mind uncontrollably recalled the barrage of comments in the chat, and my gaze quickly darted away. Xie breath drew nearer. "What Aining just said, does it still hold?" He tentatively pressed his lips against mine, and as I muttered a playful rebuke, he captured my lips with his. Our breaths intertwined, lips brushing against one another. He tilted his head, softly nibbling on my earlobe. "Help me take off my glasses." My fingers trembled slightly. The comments flooded in. What the hell? Why did the screen suddenly go black? What scene could possibly be unfit for my esteemed premium membership? Do it. Do it. Once they start, they become relentless, losing themselves entirely. Stop shipping them. There are plenty of heart-wrenching moments ahead. Surely, you don't think the female supporting character has truly changed for the better, right? Don't forget, she's about to pull a major stunt on Xie. Can the Doomsday Brigade leave already? The following morning, as Xie was about to leave, he placed a gentle kiss on my forehead. I was deep in slumber, instinctively rubbing my itchy forehead. Mistaking my movements for wakefulness, Xie seemed to ask me a few questions. Irritated, I turned over, vaguely responding to his inquiries. In the haze of half-sleep, I completely missed his self-deprecating chuckle. When I finally awakened and saw the barrage of comments, my heart sank. Talking in your sleep is certainly not a good habit. The male supporting character's fragile heart has shattered again. He must think last night's intimacy was merely a means to an end. Wait, they had a whole exchange. Who would have guessed the female supporting character was entirely asleep? That aside, when Xie left, he even asked the female supporting character if she insisted on rejecting Xie Jing's proposal, to which she agreed. It's over. Xie Jing has long been dissatisfied with Xie suppression. He has now turned around and sold the proposal to a rival company, leading to a boom in their new product sales. Thus, Xie downfall begins here. My heart raced with alarm as I hurried to call Xie, but he didn't pick up after several attempts. Anxious, I quickly dressed and prepared to head to the company. Downstairs, little Yu Zhao sat at the table enjoying breakfast. "Good morning, Mama. Daddy has gone out." "Yes, I know Daddy has gone to work. Be good and stay at home for now. When I return, an art teacher will come this afternoon." "But Mama," I had little patience to hear Yu Zhao finish a sentence. I leaned down and kissed his forehead before rushing out. Just then, I collided with Xie, who was entering with something in hand. As he rubbed my forehead, he also stroked his chin thoughtfully. Yu Zhao looked exasperated. I was just about to say that Daddy went out to buy you some buns from Shiji. Xie, as expected of you, the king of cold-faced laundry. On one hand, she uses me and laughs at herself. On the other, she is out buying her favorite crab roe buns from Shiji, queuing up to purchase them. All right, after a hearty meal, my wife is more energized to utilize me. Is that it? My heart felt a little sweet. Yet thoughts of the proposal weighed heavily on my mind. I quickly explained to him that I had been half asleep this morning, responding randomly. In any case, I will no longer compare myself to Chu Mingwan. For matters concerning the company, you should handle them in a professional manner. Xie showed no signs of surprise on his face as he nodded in agreement. He didn't bring up the proposal again, but instead inquired if there was anything I desired recently. I found our dynamic somewhat peculiar, yet I couldn't pinpoint what fell off. So I simply shook my head. I casually mentioned the entanglement between Yu Zhao and Xie Ziming yesterday. I was thinking of buying something to take back and apologize to Yu Zhao this afternoon. Chu Mingwan's family lived with Xie parents in the old residence. They must have already been informed. The matter of apologizing could not be delayed. Xie nodded, indicating he would accompany us back. Aren't you supposed to have a meeting at the company this afternoon? Your matters are more important. I was not particularly fond of returning to the old Xie family residence, where the rules of high society were numerous and every action required decorum. Having grown up in a free-spirited environment, such an atmosphere only made me feel suffocated. I had initially thought I could adapt, but shortly after our marriage, Xie took the initiative to move us out. Since then, aside from holidays, we seldom returned. At this hour, Xie's parents were home. After exchanging pleasantries for a while, Chu Mingwan finally descended from upstairs, looking rather haggard. She seemed taken aback to see Xie accompanying me, but quickly composed herself, graciously stating that although Xie Ziming was unwell, it was of no concern since we were all family. The female lead intended to create a dramatic scene. Yet the female supporting character arrived first. All that effort wasted on her son pretending to be sick. It's fine. Our female lead isn't the type to be easily outdone. She will immediately orchestrate a grand scene. Sure enough, Chu Mingwan broached the topic of the collaboration between our two families. I am the person in charge of this project, so I fear I must trouble my elder brother a bit more. Xie shot her a glance, replying that company matters should be handled within the company. Chu Mingwan smiled, but fell silent. As she saw us out, she deliberately lagged half a step behind. As for the first prize in the piano competition, Ziming has won many times. Allowing Yu Zhao to take it this time is no issue. Just as Sister Yuning is always outdone by me, I too often yield to you. What kind of mother raises, what kind of son? In the past, I could hardly bear to hear such remarks. In a fit of anger, I would have publicly scolded Chu Mingwan. But this time, I merely smiled and replied, "Then I'll have Aiken be a little more lenient with his younger brother at the company and not always hold back the proposals." Witnessing the instant change in Chu Mingwan's expression to one of fury, I quickly stepped forward to take Yu Zhao's small hand. In the afternoon, as Yu Zhao conscientiously seated himself at the piano to practice, the art teacher arrived punctually. I beckoned him over. He blinked his eyes in disbelief. "Mom, I'm not dreaming. Am I? You truly haven't deceived me?" I replied, "I wouldn't stoop so low as to break your trust." "First, learn from the teacher and see where your interests and talents lie," I encouraged. With eyes sparkling like stars, Yu Zhao enveloped me in a warm embrace. For the entire afternoon, he immersed himself in theoretical knowledge and practiced drawing lines. I inquired if he found it tedious. He shook his head. "It's entirely different from piano practice. It's like opening the door to a new world." However, he hesitantly asked me, "Mom, does that mean I won't have to compete with my cousin anymore? I heard the piano teacher mention a major competition in the city soon. Do I really not need to sign up?" I gently patted his little head, reflecting on my past self, akin to a blindfolded donkey, unaware of how to leverage strengths while avoiding weaknesses. "If you enjoy art, then study it diligently. In a couple of days, I will take you to an art exhibition." "Mom, you're so wonderful. Will you always be this good to me?" "Not always. If you fail your next math exam, I will still spank your little bottom." Yu Zhao, QAQ. Before bed, I habitually open my social media. I saw Chu Mingwan had posted an array of trophy photos and revealed she had already signed up for the city's piano competition. I smiled faintly and scrolled past. Then, I turned over and felt the empty pillow beside me. Sietchen mentioned he would be working late at the company and wouldn't be coming home. I didn't suspect he had lost interest. Rather, it felt as though he was evading me. The same excuse persisted for several days, further validating my suspicions. On this particular day, after taking Yu Zhao to the art exhibition, I decided to visit Sietchen. Yu Zhao pointed to a dessert shop by the street, his eyes gleaming. Dad loves cake. Let's buy him some. I tapped his little head. I think it's you who wants to eat. He chuckled mischievously. Nonetheless, I purchased a few pastries. Upon arriving at the company, it was just before lunch break. I waved to Secretary Zhao, indicating that I would go in by myself. Placing a box of sweets on his desk, Secretary Zhao, with an odd expression, stopped me. Madam, Mr. Xie is currently in a meeting. That's fine. I can wait in his office. Mr. Xie is in a meeting in his office. At this point, I sensed something was amiss. Then I'll wait in the lounge area. This time, Secretary Zhao did not object. I found a table and sat quietly. Most employees did not recognize me and were gossiping in small groups. The person who came in this morning must be Mr. Xie's wife. She's so beautiful. She must be the eldest daughter of the Chu family. I heard Mrs. Xie hasn't come out since she went in this morning. I wonder if business is done, or if they're. Mom, are they talking about Dad? Yu Zhao's abrupt voice interrupted the gossip. Several employees looked at us with peculiar expressions. I wiped the cream from his mouth. No, remember Uncle works here too? I took out my phone to send a message to Sietchen, then closed my eyes and muttered softly. Yu Zhao leaned in, puzzled. Mom, what are you saying? Do not be angry. Do not be angry. Life is like a play. Remember these 3 rules about anger. Being upset only harms oneself. Sulking only breeds opposition. Throwing a tantrum can turn reason into nonsense. Life is hard enough. Don't waste it on self-pity. Being angry for a minute wastes 60 seconds of fortune. Being angry for an hour leads to foolishness. Being angry for a week harms the liver and damages the spleen. After reciting it twice, I smiled and stood up. Mom, are you not angry anymore? I shook my head. No, I'm even angrier. Damn Sietchen, what are you doing in the office with Chu Mingwan? Perhaps sensing my rising anger, Secretary Zhao did not stop me this time. Flustered, he attempted to call Sietchen internally, but I directly unplugged the phone line. As I pushed open the office door, Chu Mingwan caught my eye, stumbling towards Sietchen with a file in hand. Sietchen, quick on his feet, braced himself against the desk, causing the leather chair to slide back a meter. Chu Mingwan fell at his feet. Yu Zhao, half a step behind me, dashed into the office and exclaimed, Dad, are you trying to destroy our family? I helped Chu Mingwan to her feet. Her previously calm demeanor cracked, and she fidgeted with her hair, picking up the scattered documents and wordlessly exiting. Sietchen, arriving just in time, escorted her back into the office. Aining, let me explain. Explain what? Dad, I want to have a serious talk with you as a man. How can you let Annie worship you like that? Is that right? You should be the emperor. The comments flooded in. Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. I thought I was catching someone cheating, but it turned into a comedy. You should be the emperor. I'm dying of laughter, little Yu Zhao, creating chaos. In a corner where no one noticed, the female lead felt like she was about to shatter with embarrassment. I left Yu Zhao behind, took the pastries, and turned to leave. Don't you love sleeping at the company? You need to come home these days. Sietchen hurriedly attempted to follow me, only to be stopped by Yu Zhao, who wrapped his arms around his waist. Dad, we need to talk. You are being unreasonable. Passing by Secretary Zhao's desk, I noticed his untouched pastries and casually took them. He shouldn't eat either. That evening, Secretary Zhao drove Yu Zhao home. Where's your dad? Mom, didn't you say to let him sleep at the company for these 2 days? I sighed, feeling even more frustrated. Enraged, I decided to spend some money to quell my anger. Leveraging my parents' connections, I contacted several professional managers, informing them of my intent to purchase an art gallery and requesting suitable recommendations. Then, I opened a shopping app and shopped until my fingers ached. Is this what simple yet wealthy people do? Buying a gallery is easier than buying a cup of milk tea. I'm angry. I'll sue this world with a loan. After seeing the body warm up, it turned out to be on the grill. Damn it. I'm going to fight against you rich folks. Just as I finally calmed myself down and prepared for bed, Sietchen suddenly sent a lengthy message spanning 3 screens, detailing the origins, developments, and conclusions of the situation. He explained that he was aware of my disdain for Chu Mingwan. However, the collaboration with the Chu family had commenced, and considering Xiejing was also involved, he did not suggest a change. He hadn't intended to inform me, wanting to wrap up the project swiftly, but that afternoon, Chu Mingwan had brought it up. His recent overtime was aimed at hastening the project's conclusion. Regarding today's incident, he stated that he had finally managed to get Chu Mingwan to come over. Thus, he piled all the project's tasks into the morning, pressing her to finalize the details. He insisted he had no idea why she suddenly fell. It certainly wasn't his fault. I responded, "In your eyes, am I such an unreasonable person?" Indeed, the female antagonist was once like that. Her ears seemed to be equipped with a radar for the heroine, able to stir up trouble until her parents intervened for a change. Female antagonist. Oh no. If you hadn't mentioned it, I might not have noticed this detail. What collaboration between the two families? No one cares about the heroine's forced rush on the project's timeline. Am I the only one who finds Xie Chen's explanation utterly amusing? Ha ha ha. He didn't trip, yet no one claims he did. 15. Perhaps it was the ineffectiveness of the dry little essay. Early the next morning, Xie Chen sent me a meme featuring a curious cat. There's an auction the day after tomorrow. May I invite my wife to join? Something feels off. Xie Chen never sends memes. He only refers to me as wife when he is emotionally stirred. Where did this meme come from? Does my wife not like it? Xie Chen, behave normally. I'll ask you again. Where did this meme come from? Secretary Zhao gave it to me. He said the little essay wasn't working, so I should try being cute instead. Bullet comments. Secretary Zhao, I never said that. Haraha, the male supporting character is so reserved. He clearly searched online for advice. What to do if my wife is angry? How to please my wife? What is the appeal of contrast cuteness? Does being cute work for men? Who says this couple isn't sweet? They are incredibly sweet. 16. On the day of the auction, I accompanied Xie Chen to the event. It wasn't because I desired any items on the auction block, but rather because I had seen Chu Mingwan post 2 messages about the auction the previous night. I sensed, almost intuitively, that she had intended for me to see them. Bullet comments also mentioned that this auction was a significant plot point. One item after another was sold. Noticing my lack of reaction, Xie Chen tilted his head. If there's anything you desire, feel free to raise your paddle. Anything goes? Anything goes. Including that land in the south? The southern land was the primary focus of this auction, and also the target of Chu Mingwan. However, she represented the Chu family, while Xie Chen attended as an individual. If I insisted on bidding for that land, it would severely devalue his assets if things went south. I looked at Xie Chen and he met my gaze. After a pause, he lowered his eyes and softly murmured, Xie Chen, do you know what you're doing? I do, but I want you to be happy. Oh my, who understands? That line, I want you to be happy, really strikes a chord with me. I want to have a relationship like this before I die. Bring it on. Bring on the lovesick boyfriend. My heart suddenly felt as though it had been squeezed tightly. In the past, I was like a ticking time bomb attached to Xie Chen. He had no idea how long he had been carrying this bomb before I came to my senses. He may have known that one day it would explode, but he couldn't bear to let it go. As the auction neared its conclusion, the model of that land was revealed. Upon seeing Chu Mingwan raise her paddle, I silently followed suit. Female antagonist is confused. This is the heroine's trap. On the surface, the southern land appears to be a prime location, a guaranteed profit, yet beneath it lies radioactive materials. Whoever buys it will face disaster. Poor Xie Chen, losing a significant portion of his wealth in this auction, and he will face scrutiny from the Xie family, slowly losing power. I thought the female antagonist had changed, but it turns out she was just planning something even bigger. In a series of bids, only I and Chu Mingwan remained in competition. Throughout it all, Xie Chen calmly played with my fingers. Until the final bid, Chu Mingwan raised her paddle. I did not follow. Bullet comments. Wait a minute. How did the heroine end up purchasing this land? Ha 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 ha, but still, the heroine has been trapped by her own scheme. Xie Chen looked up at me. Don't want it anymore? I never wanted it. It was just that she had bullied me too much before. Xie Chen suddenly smiled, reaching out to pat my head. I brushed his hand away. We've been through enough, after all. 17. Exiting the venue with Xie Chen, we stumbled upon a quarrel between Chu Mingwan and Xie Jing in a corner. Didn't you say it was foolproof? How was I to know that Chu Yuning would suddenly withdraw? The plan was agreed upon by you. Now that something has gone wrong, you blame me? The Chu family doesn't need that land. It was merely a ruse to provoke Chu Yuning. There are radioactive materials underground. That land must not be acquired. Indeed, it was a trap aimed at me. The land cannot be acquired. And Chu Mingwan can only regret her bid. Not only would her reputation suffer, but the penalty for breach of contract would soar into the hundreds of millions. As their argument escalated, a sharp sound echoed through the air. Wow. Did Xie Jing just hit the heroine? The heroine stepped on a landmine. Claiming the male lead has always been jealous of his older brother, using her to deal with Chu Yuning and dragging Xie Chen down with her. I timidly say, who remembers that the initial character setup in the book was a calm and wise heroine contrasted with a roguish male lead and the taciturn, unromantic male supporting character versus the vain, competitive female antagonist? Can I say that both of their dark sides stem from their own siblings, hence their uncanny understanding of one another? I linked my arm with Xie Chen's, suggesting we take a detour. At that moment, I wished to preserve a bit of dignity for Chu Mingwan. On the way back, I found myself unusually quiet. Xie Chen glanced at me. What are you thinking about? I was pondering Xie Jing and Chu Mingwan. If Xie Jing is jealous of you, I can understand, but claiming that Chu Mingwan is jealous of me seems baseless. People always yearn for what they do not possess. Do you feel that way too? Sunlight streamed through the car window. Xie Chen lowered his lashes, then lifted his gaze to meet mine, saying not anymore. 18. Time swiftly passed to New Year's Day. We did not return to the Xie family's old residence, nor did they call to invite us. Xie Chen had grown up with his grandmother, and his relationship with his parents was not much better than mine. Especially after the birth of Xie Jing, their favoritism became quite evident. In the past, I would actively pester Xie Chen to take me back, just to compete with Chu Mingwan. This year, I simply wished to enjoy a peaceful New Year at home. In the living room, Yu Zhao ran about joyfully, holding the trophy he had won for first place in the art competition. I asked him what reward he wanted. He glanced outside at the snow and insisted on dragging me and Xie Chen to build a snowman. The snowman's body rolled around the garden 4 or 5 times, growing nearly as tall as he was. He held up the head he had crafted, asking Xie Chen to lift him to place it on top. Unfortunately, he lost his grip, and the snowman's head tumbled to the ground, breaking apart. Frustrated, he rolled an even larger one. The cold wind swept through the snow as Xie Chen bent down to adjust my scarf. His eyes lowered, and a playful snowflake danced across his glasses, landing on his lashes. They fluttered slightly, and I found him adorable. Unable to resist, I leaned in and kissed his cheek. He froze momentarily, a smile spreading across his face.
Mom,
how could you steal a kiss from Dad?
I saw that.
Shy face, shy face. Yu Zhao covered his eyes with splayed fingers. I patted his head. Then shall I kiss you too?
Hehe, no.
I'll save that for Dad. Yu Zhao declared that this was our family of 3's first snowman building adventure together. He called the nanny to take a photo of us. Bullet comments. What are you screenshotting for? Why are you just standing there? Ah, so happy. I declare this the happy ending.
No.
Hee hee, a tip from an advanced viewer. There's more delightful content ahead. Perhaps it was because I had been standing in the snow for too long, but I began to feel a chill. Upon returning home, I indulged in several glasses of wine to warm my spirits, only to neglect the fact that my tolerance was rather modest. By the time I realized this, my consciousness had already begun to blur. I pinched Yu Zhao's small face and exclaimed, Xie Chen, how did you become so diminutive? Can you still be my husband even in this smaller form?
Boo-hoo.
Mom, I am Xie Yu Zhao. You're drunk and confused. Oh, I remember now. You are my son. I then pointed at the approaching Xie Chen and remarked, Son, how have you grown? Yu Zhao. Xie Chen. Xie Chen advised Yu Zhao to rest early and then lifted me into his arms, carrying me back to the room. Leaning against the bed, I shook my head gently. Hee hee, Xie Chen, I really like you. Do you like me? While wiping my face, Xie Chen replied, Yes, I do. I impulsively removed my sweater and pouted. Then why don't you come and kiss me? Xie Chen leaned closer, but I opened my eyes and pushed him away. Not in this attire. Go change into a suit.
Stop messing around.
Hurry up, I want to see you perform that suit, Neil. I'll reward you. Siechan raised an eyebrow and returned in a suit. I placed my foot on his shoulder, slowly sliding down on my toes. As I neared a sensitive spot, he suddenly grasped my ankle and pulled me into his embrace, leading to a fervent kiss. I felt overwhelmed and attempted to retreat, but he held my head back firmly. The comments flooded in. What ecstasy, finally indulging in the good stuff. This scene is so tantalizing. Next comes the beloved lighting time.
Ah.
I want to crawl under their bed and watch them do the deed. Geneva, after waiting so long. You give me a black screen? Refund. Refund.
Topart kat ime goren.
The following day, I awoke to find it nearly noon. The scattered clothing on the floor had been tidied by Siechan. Upon noticing I was awake, a rare hint of embarrassment crossed his face. As I washed up, I discovered numerous kiss marks scattered from my collarbone to my lower abdomen, even on the inner thighs. TSK, such a reserved tease. 3 months later, I encountered Chu Mingwan again. By then, I had successfully acquired the gallery I desired and was delving into its management. She invited me to meet at a nearby cafe. By the time I arrived, she had already ordered 2 hot Americanos. Frowning, I called the waitress over and ordered the milk tea. Chu Mingwan took a sip of her coffee with a faint smile. You've changed. I remember when I said milk tea was unhealthy and a commoner drink. You never touched it again.
What do you want from me?
I felt no inclination to converse with her. She set down her coffee, sighed as if relieved, and said, I'm getting a divorce.
What?
I was not the only one shocked. Even the comments reflected astonishment.
Surprised?
I never truly liked Xie Jing. Especially after he hit me that day at the auction. You saw it, right? Before I could respond, Chu Mingwan continued, how wonderful. With the divorce I can live in a different city and one tea have to see you again. Honestly, it's not just you who dislikes me. I've always found you quite repugnant. She confessed that since my return, she had been anxious, only deriving some security from repeatedly outshining me. Especially after marrying Xie Jing. Their goals aligned, one secretly envying her older brother, the other resenting her unrelated sister. They seemed to have forged an alliance. However, once I ceased to compete with Chu Mingwan, they could no longer find a way to intrude upon my life with Siechan. The relationship between the two of them suffered a severe rift due to exorbitant breach of contract fees. At times like this, I find myself particularly grateful for your initial stubbornness. With you around, the alliance between the Chu and Xie families remained unaffected, and my parents wouldn't obstruct my divorce. I don't know why, but once I made this decision, I suddenly felt a wave of relief, as if I had finally found myself. Forget it. Why am I even telling you this? Chu Mingwan bid me farewell, adding before she left that her past grievances were more her fault than mine. Thankfully, we wouldn't have to see each other again. Watching her retreating figure, I felt a tinge of melancholy. Later, on the day of Chu Mingwan's divorce, the comments completely vanished from my life. When one no longer focuses on a single individual, no one is inherently destined to play a supporting role. Outside, spring flowers bloomed as I exited the gallery. Siechan approached, holding Yu Zhao's hand, and declared, Ning, we're here to take you home. I knew then that the script had finally veered off course, steering towards the blissful journey that belonged to us. Epilogue. Siechan's perspective. The first time Siechan met Chu Yuning was at a banquet. She trailed behind Madame Chu, visibly anxious and awkward, yet forcing herself to engage socially. At the dining table, Chu Mingwan silently humiliated her with cutlery. She bit her lip, stubbornly requesting a pair of chopsticks. He suddenly found the scene amusing and asked the waiter for a pair of chopsticks as well. Those at the table took the hint and began to chat, effectively diffusing the awkwardness. He had assisted her, yet Chu Yuning shot him a furtive glare when no one was watching. This unexpectedly reminded him of a stray cat he had seen in the garden as a child. He had fed it with cat sticks while it nibbled, hissing and grumbling. From that moment on, he found himself unconsciously attentive to her messages. Later, with the Chu family considering a union with the Xie family, he felt a stir of interest. However, upon learning that the Chu family had settled on Chu Mingwan, he flatly refused. Thus, the marriage partners shifted to Xie Jing and Chu Mingwan. What he hadn't anticipated was that Chu Yuning would approach him of her own accord. He wondered where she had learned such boldness. She clumsily articulated the benefits of their alliance, even offering to help him compete with Xia Jing for family assets. At that moment, he couldn't help but laugh. Xia Chun had grown up under his grandfather's care, often unable to express his thoughts to him, which cultivated his taciturn nature. After his grandfather passed away, he returned to live with his parents, only to find they had already welcomed a lively and adorable younger brother. He understood all of Chu Yuning's sorrows and frustrations. He was willing to indulge her, even if the outcome was less than ideal, for he would always be there by her side. One day, Chu Yuning seemed to awaken from her obsession. Happiness appeared to be finally veering back onto its rightful path toward him. At that moment, Xia Chen gently kissed Chu Yuning and confessed. He acknowledged that he was not the type to attract a girl's affection, being gloomy and inept at charm, and expressed gratitude for her willingness to marry him. Chu Yuning chuckled lightly and remarked that Xia Chen lacked clarity in self-awareness. Yet, she added, "You're welcome." From that day forth, all that remained would be "You're welcome." The end. Thank you for listening, and until we meet again in the next story.